In this video, we are going to see what is AWS ELB, Elastic Load Balance, and how to configure a simple web server on an existing EC2 Linux instance, and then how to configure ELB and add these web servers and do the basic testing to ensure our ELB is working fine. So this is what the topics we are going to cover in this video. Okay, so let's see what is ELB. So this is the actual simple diagram of ELB. Um, Basically, these orange boxes are the EC2 instance, the Linux servers which are running with the HTTP or any kind of web service at the backend instance, and this is the ELB. So basically ELB is nothing but when the application traffic comes, ELB receives those traffic. It's like one single URL IP and automatically distribute those traffic across multiple instances. These instances can be spread across multiple availability zone. So if you remember in Amazon console, when you create an instance, you can create instance across regions, multiple availability zone, right? So the one restriction is these instance must be within the availability zone, not the region. So if you choose US East, it should be, you can keep the instance in US East 1A, B, C, D, something like that. So in that way, your application is spread across multiple locations within the region. So at the same time, your ELB also can distribute the traffic across your instance. So the function of this ELB is to automatically distribute the traffic across uh, multiple backend instance. So what is the big advantage? This ELB takes care of failover. Let's take in a scenario, one of your instance failed, so your application, this can do the periodic health check of your backend instance. The moment it sees, hey, this instance is failed, you cannot ping the port 80 or port 443, then immediately ELB will isolate this instance out of the ELB, or basically this declares um, this is not reachable, and the traffic will be only distributed to the perfect and running healthy instance. So in that way, we know no our application is always highly available, and you can go and fix your instance and put it back inside the ELB anytime. Then the moment the ELB health check pass, ELB will automatically distribute the traffic to the good one also. I mean the issue fixed one also. So that's the so it takes care of the fault tolerance. That's the advantage of having ELB. And another big advantage, it's more secure. Your instance, your web server's public IP is not exposed to the it's not exposed to the public. If you look at, there is a mask in between, so uh, your ELB public IP will be exposed to the public. So you don't have to worry about your instance IP. So all the traffic's directly hitting here, and you are not exposed to the public. So the only communication between your ELB to the backend instance is happening. So this is really secure. So this is the advantage of this is the one people prefer to go for ELB. Okay, so let's go and create a first simple web server. Okay, so if you look at my console, I already have two running instance. This is a basic T2 micro Linux, Amazon Linux running instance. Uh, I'm going to simply configure Apache, not Apache, simple HTTP web service. Let's connect one of the server. So see, look at this. The first server is located at US East 1B. The second server located at US East 1C. So I ensure both the servers are in two different availability zone. So let me connect to one of the server. Connect. Copy. Let me go to temp. Okay. first server. So I connected to my first web server. Sudo so if you look at now, rpm-qa http. I don't have any packages running with HTTP. I'm going to install everything new. So you can run, it's like two commands, sudo yum install httpd. So we install the package, and then sudo service httpd start, and then ensure you add this in check config, sudo check config httpd on. So this will ensure when you reboot your instance or power off and power on, this command takes care of bringing your web server service, http service, at run level 3. So that's the idea of, I mean, all the time whenever you reboot, your service will be available. You don't have to manually go and start it. So now all good. Let me check sudo service httpd status. It is running. Okay, let me go and update the HTML file. vi or www html index.html. Let me create a file under, this is the default location. I'm not changing and configuring anything specific. When you install HTTP, by default this folder will be created. I'm just creating a file called index.html, and so in this file, let me add my content. I have one simple sample content. You can simply say web server. Basically what this means is, the background color is something different, and I just say hello world. This is my URL. That's it. Save it. Okay, cool, everything done. So now let me quickly restart sudo service httpd restart. Okay, so how do I verify? To verify, let me take my IP. So this is important before you add any instance behind the load balancer. So I can see my my web server is running fine. So yeah, so do these checks. Without doing this check, please don't add. So this ensures my web server is working fine. Okay, now it makes sense for me to add this instance behind the load balancer. Okay, so let me quickly do the same thing for my second instance also. Okay, this is my second instance. Connect. Then go to terminal, exit from this, and connect to your new server. This is my second server, and do sudo install httpd sudo service httpd start sudo check config httpd on, then sudo vi var www html index.html. So this is, just copy and paste this. So the first web server says hello world, right? The second one we will say hello world second server. Okay, also let's change the background color. Probably I would say CC440 something. I don't know whether this code is available, but let me try. Okay, so two web servers done. Sudo service httpd start. So now go and hit your new IP. Let's browse the second IP. It ends with IP 1978. It's a second server. So basically I have two web servers ready. Now I'm gonna configure these two web server inside my load balancer, so that we can check whenever client hit my load balancer, the traffic should equally distribute between these two servers. Okay, one time I should see the server A web page, second time I should see This one, that's the idea. Okay, okay. Now this test is passed. Let's go and configure ELB. Configure a ELB. Come here, click on load balancer, create a load balancer. I'm going to say my load balancer name, some test name. So I would say my ELB 001. Make sure you don't keep any space between. For example, like this, it won't accept the space actually. So keep it like together, because this whatever we are giving here, this will be used by Amazon to generate a default URL for you to connect. So don't so they don't accept the spaces or something. So create the ELB inside. So keep it in the default VPC. We'll see VPC, what is VPC, how to configure all. We'll talk about it later. So use the default VPC. Create an internal load balancer. What it means is the load balancer you can create for your internal purpose or external purpose. Today I'm configuring it for external facing. What it means, anybody in the world can come and connect to my IP or my URL. It's open for everybody. Whoever in the internet can connect. When do we need internal load balancer? Let's say I'm a company where I wanted to give an application. Only my internal employees wanted to access. For example, timesheets, HR, my internal application like SAP or whatever. So those kind of stuff you can have internal. So which is completely that will play within the VPC and using the private IP. There is no public IP attached with that. So it's completely secured for your inside people inside network. So this demo I'm going to use external, so I don't want to check this, and we don't want to use VPC advanced configuration. Okay, this is important. Listener configuration. How is my web server is going to listen the traffic? Today I'm using HTTP 80. That's a default. I know this is not so secured. 443 is secured, but for this demo purpose, let's use 80. If you think you can have HTTPS, you can use even HTTPS 443. For this demo, let me use 80. Okay, and just say assign security group. For this load balancer, I already created a security group. This is the same security group attached to my instance also. Basically, this security group allows 3 roles: port 80, port 22, port 443. Anyhow, we are not using port 443, so only this is I'm using now. Okay, so this is a warning. Hey, you are using HTTP. Please try to use HTTPS so that your connections will be secured and encrypted. That makes sense. Anyhow, we'll do that next video. So let's just ignore and go to the LCheck. Here, we talked about the ELB, right? So ELB is the one going to distribute the traffic across multiple backend instances. So also this is going to periodically monitor the health check of each instance. What do you mean by health check? Health check is every instance is running with HTTP, and it means it is listening on port 80. So frequently our load balancer is going to telnet or ping the specific port 80 and ensure that is in the listen state. If any time load balancer cannot reach port 80, so then it will declare this instance is failed. So it stops sending the traffic. It distribute to only the running traffic. So that's what health check. So here my instance is running with HTTP port 80. So I'm giving this, and I'm giving the path. What is your default path? So it is not only doing health check using port 80, it is also doing health check by reading your index.html page. So today I kept the index.html in the default location, which is /var www html, right? So for the default location, you can simply keep it here, index.html. You don't have to change anything. Let's say in your company you are keeping it in a different location for a security purpose, then you can update your different path. For today, I'm using the default path, so I just need to say index.html. That's it. And response time, what is this? These are all one key key configuration. Response timeout, you can just browse here, move your cursor, it will tell you the detail. Time to wait when receiving a response from the health check. So basically ELB will query, send a query, request the connection from here to your backend instance. How long it can wait to get the response back? So that's the time here. So I can wait for 5 seconds. Okay, uh, if I'm not getting the response in 5 seconds, then ELB will think the backend instance is failed or something wrong. Okay, so that's the response time. This you can change between 2 second to 60 second. I would say leave it 5 second. Some people keep 60 seconds so that even your server performance is slow or you have some network issue, latency is more, still at least the health check will not fail. So you can keep the number between 2 to 60. And second one, health check interval. How frequently I can ELB can poll or query for health check. That's the time. So the default is 30 seconds. Leave it as it is, or you can keep the time between 5 to 300 second. So leave 30 second. Every 30 second, ELB is going to send a request to backend instance and check all these instance are working fine with the port 80. And okay, so this is the one is how long it can wait. Another one is how frequently it can check. The third one is unhealthy threshold. What it mean? How many number of time? See, I am trying to connect 5 second. I'm not getting any response. It means it is failed. Okay, so I don't want to just try one time and wait for 5 seconds and declare unhealthy. So at least two times. So wait for two unhealthy threshold. If you're getting two consecutive unhealthy threshold, then declare it is failed. So it makes sense, right? We don't want to declare with the first attempt. So even you can increase the time up to 10. So I'll leave it default. Okay, let's say unhealthy threshold, you got it, your instance declared failed. You went inside and found something problem with the service, you fixed it and you started the service. Now how many threshold do I need to check to ensure your healthy is passing the health check? So when it comes back, wait for at least 10 times. What it mean? Every 5 seconds it go and check like that 10 times. 10 times, 10 into 50 second, 5 seconds, it's like 50 second, almost one minute. Within 1 minute, 10 times it is going to go and query. If all the 10 time this passes the health check, then ELB is going to consider the backend instance is healthy, so that it will distribute that application traffic to the instance. So this is the only configuration we do in this is very important and only one of the important configuration we do in the ELB health check one. So please try to understand this area. The one is for response timeout, um, and health check interval, unhealthy and healthy threshold. Okay, so I hope you got this. Now let's I didn't change anything, but technically you can customize, but I don't want to do that. This is a demo. So and add instance. So now our ELB is ready. I'm going to add the instance. So when I say add instance, automatically in my North Virginia region, that is US East, what are all the running instance? All those instances it will list. Today I'm running with just two instance. So one is in availability zone C, another one is in availability zone B. So let me pick both because I wanted to add both. You can have n number. See, look at here, enabled cross load balancing. If you don't enable, you cannot add all the zones. You must enable, because I wanted to enable cross zone load balancing so that my traffic can be distributed across multiple instances. Those are all configured in a multiple availability zone. So I would suggest you to keep the instance in the multiple availability zone. In that way, it is like keeping your server running on multiple data center in a multiple different location within the region. So in case of any issues or kind of disaster or anything, still your service will be up and running in the another availability zone, so you don't have to worry about disaster recovery, those stuff. So enable connection draining. So every 300 second, this will simply it will drain the connections. So just leave this enabled, and just go for a tags. So tag is like usually it's like a name. uh, my web server ELB something. It's like a name of the labeling of your ELB, and review and create. So this is what we did. My ELB is my ELB. It is internet facing. I am listening on port 80, and uh, forwarding to port 80. What it means is when ELB is going to listen on port 80 to the public, and once it get the connection, it will forward to the backend instance using port 80. That's what it is. You can do some advanced configuration. ELB receives on 443 and backend port 80 still you can do. We'll talk about that in the next video. This is the basic ELB configuration. And health check, this is the default health check. You know that it's going to check port 80 and index.html. And there are some, how frequently, how many time, healthy threshold, all we configured. And VPC information, security groups, all. Okay, great. Okay, so your load balance or creation status says good. Let's go. So once you created your load balancer, you see my ELB. It will take a few minutes to complete the creation, although it says, how do I check? Look at here, the status 0 of 2 instances in service. What it means is ELB is created, it is in the process of adding your instance uh, to enable the traffic distribution and everything. So it is still working on. So it should be 2 of 2 instance. It is still working. And important thing here in the description, this is your URL. Okay, look at here, my ELB, that's the name I gave. Rest of all, it's like a random generator number, and the URL we got it from Amazon. So with this, we can, this is my ELB's URL. So you can share this information to public so that people can connect to this one, so that your traffic will be automatically distributed from here to our backend instance. So how do I change this name? This is not my URL name. My URL name is, let's say, something www.example.com. So if that's the case, if you have a Route 53, you can go and add a a record or a C name, alias name pointing to this URL to your URL, so that traffic with the I mean, you don't have to necessarily use this URL. You can customize your own URL. We'll talk about that later when we cover Route 53 topic. So for a test, let's use this URL today. Okay, and instance. Look at on instance. This is the two instance we assigned, we added into the ELB, and so far the status shows out of service. So it should be in service, then only everything good. So look at here, instance registration still in progress, so it makes sense. Your ELB will be created, it will do some basic health check, and all is going at the background. So let's wait for a couple of more minutes, it will be all right. Now do health check. This is a health check whatever we configured. And monitoring, this is the important piece. Amazon has got a wonderful monitoring tool. Here I can see any kind of errors with respect to HTTP code, basically HTTP 200 or 400 or 500. We'll see that later. Usually 400, see 500 is mostly the error which is related to backend instance or the backend infrastructure, I would say. 400 is something 403 page not found. Mostly it is because of the services, or web configuration issue or something. And 200, mostly 200 errors are good. I mean, it's not an error, it's like status check good. So we'll see that practically. And let's go here. Healthy healthy host. we added two backend hosts, right? So it will tell, the two host is, how many host is healthy. It will take some time to populate. We just created, it will take some time to populate. And healthy and unhealthy host, let's say you have 10 instance. Out of 10 instance, 2 instance is kind of down, so it will show here. 8 instance is good, it will show here. So how long 8 instance is serving, how long that graph it will plot. It takes time. And average latency, how long it takes to connect, I mean serving the pages, the latency. And the number of connections, which is your ELB, I mean your backend, your ELB is getting. And the error and spillover counts, all these are all the monitoring parameters, of the load balancer. We'll talk later. And go to security. This is the security group I added. As per this security group, I okay as per this security group, I am allowing port 80 to everybody, so it should work. And HTTP listener is 80, we know that. And tag is nothing but the name what I gave. So this is what we gave. Let's see what's happening. So look at here, the status changed. Before it was 0 of 2, now 2 of 2 instances in service. Wonderful. Now check the instance. Now it both says in service. Beautiful. So now take this URL and go and hit your URL. Basically, I wanted to close everything and going to connect using my URL. So the URL is working fine. So one time I'm going to this web page, and if I refresh, see, look at here, I'm going to the different second server. If I refresh again, I'm going to the first server. Refresh again, going to second server. So great, right? So whenever I connect to the URL, the traffic is distributed between server A and server B. So this is what we expected. So my ELB works fine. So hope this video will be helpful. I'm going to upload this video in mylinuxguru.com. If you're interested, you can go and have a look. Have a great day. So we are done.